Everybody knows the year zero, right? The year of diseases, the year of the death, the year where the apocalypse takes over. And if we talk in a religious perspective, it's the year of Satan's coming. So sit down, hold on tight, get your blanket, get everything you need, lock doors, and get ready for a Brosketeers Monster Facts. And I am coming here to talk about the year zero and to talk about a scary story. So, the year zero. Okay, everybody knows what the year zero is all about. Alright, well, not everybody, but almost, if we're gonna talk about the year zero, then. The year zero. The year zero, comes from the horror, scary things, you know what I mean? Every single disease, every single apocalypse, and again, in a religious perspective, Satan's coming on the year zero. Year zero. A lot of people wonder if apocalypse is coming in or anything scary, or why it happens, or if anything related to the scary world is gonna take over sooner. The answer is, we don't know. I don't know. But for sure I know that the year zero will. The year zero, based on nightmares, based on everything that you hate, that you don't want to sleep on, that you don't want to think about, that you don't want to see at 3 a.m. You're going to see it on year zero. So that's what it's all about. It especially comes from the Satan's coming in a religious perspective, but I'm not going to talk about it in a religious perspective because I don't really want to offend anybody or make it sound weird. But yes, the year zero is a horror year where the diseases, the apocalypse, everything takes over, and you don't even, even people in year zero were afraid to come out because they were afraid that they were gonna get killed one day, or they were gonna get a disease if they get contact with someone. That's so scary. The year zero, and that I'm not saying is reality. It's totally not reality. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is it's a myth. It's a myth. People. It's all a myth that people talked about, and that it's some scary stories. The year zero. And it's a scary myth where the horror and everything takes over. You know what I mean? So it's the year zero, but you just gotta be prepared. People talk about the apocalypse come from the year zero. If you take a look at that myth, on the horror perspective, because there's two perspectives of it. There's the perspective that people talked about that's the Satan's coming, and there's the horror perspective that is the one that I like the most. That is where the apocalypse, and it's a whole myth story. It's not real, okay? It's a whole myth story, but it's really interesting. If you look at it, the horror perspective, the religious perspective, you know how it is. If you're a Christian or whatever, don't even take a look at the religious perspective of the year zero. But I do love the horror perspective of it, because it talks about the apocalypses and everything that's kind of come down on that day, including diseases. The Black Death, the Black Death was on the year zero. The Black Death was on a year zero, and uh, it was part of the year zero. So the Black Death is more like a disease by rats or something that you get and you die. And they call it the Black Death because it was like basically the death coming to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the disease and you were gonna die. You know what I mean? So that's what the Black Death it was all about, and it was part of the year zero. You know, because like I said, the year zero is all of bad things that are gonna come to kill you. It's all relatable to death, you know, in the horror perspective. You know, the religious perspective, I don't like keep talking about it. But the horror perspective is amazing. It's a whole mid story that's entertaining. Even if it's scary, it's entertaining. And don't lie to me, y'all, because y'all like scary stuff once in a while. So, yeah. The year zero is all about that. You know, you want to take a look at it, just search it up, and it's all about the apocalypse is also part of it. The apocalypse was like a zombies kind of thing, and it was disease or kind of scientific people experimenting with things and kind of kills people's brain and turn them into zombies, and now they're hunger of eating people's brain or people's, and it's part of the year zero because, like I said, the year zero are all bad things that will kill you or destroy you. So yeah. So yeah, that's all the year zero. I'm not gonna really talk about the religious perspective. You know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but you guys, in the religious perspective, it's just Satan's coming and it's gonna take over the world, and blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. But I'm not really interested of the religious perspective of it. I like more the myth of the horror perspective of it. So basically that. The year zero is like years before BC, before Christ. It was AD, back on AD. Moving on to the scary story of the day for Monster Facts. And I'm thinking about Monster Facts doing scary stories, right? Like I want to do something different on Monster Facts. Is talk about scary things that are cool. The scary things that are not cool in a way of like it's amazing what they do or whatever, but like of why they do it, why is the reason why they do it, what happened to them, if there's any trauma, in an interesting kind of way. Everybody knows the serial killer John Wayne Gacy, and I talked about it, but I want to talk a little bit about it and bring up a mixture of other serial killers, such as the Night Stalker. But first, John Wayne Gacy, of course. Everybody knows John Wayne Gacy. A guy that was lovable by the community, you know what I mean? Like, everybody loves him, and everybody loves how he was with the community. He was an amazing guy with the community. But he was hiding something. Every time they came up to his smell of the house, there was something in it that smelled like decomposing shit and death, and it was pretty goddamn scary. Boys that worked with him went down to his attic and everything, and there were a lot of bugs. But there were this kind of bugs, not like people back then. Them they didn't know, but those bugs they were not like roaches or anything. They were those bugs that that decompose the body once it's dead. You know, I'm gonna put a little dark in. What's gonna put on? I'll put a little fade on it. Did it work a fade on it? I'm gonna try to put a fade on it. Hold on. Nah, keep it red. Decomposing our body, right? And they were like, whoa, they were scared out of their mind because they didn't know what the fuck was that, and they have no freaking idea of what was that. All I can tell you is that it was super scary. He was this kind of guy that convinces everybody of everything. That he was good, that he was good, that he was a giving hand to the community. At the end of the day, John Wayne Gacy, little did they know that he was a serial killer that killed 20 and even more young boys dressing as Pogo the Clown. And actually that's what the movie It was inspired by. Honestly, I don't like clowns, so I didn't really watch it. But you know, he dressed it as a clown called Pogo that he went to entertainment and stuff, and he called boys and stuff, and that's where he did his act, you know. And behind the scenes is serial killing, and he got the nickname of the clown killer, the killer clown. And that's where the movie It was inspired by, the movie Pogo. From Pogo, the John Wayne Gacy guy kind of thing, you know. But the thing is, John Wayne Gacy killed his victims and buried them on his basement, where his body got decomposed. Their bodies got decomposed by this box, and you can smell it. You can actually smell this bad smell, smelling like shit and death. And neighbors were complaining about the smell. People were suspecting about the smell. It was a smell that people were just terrified of. And he was getting annoyed by that, and he was acting like he didn't know. But actually, he had those bodies buried down there, you know. And he killed his victims and buried down there. Once he killed his last victim, and realized that he couldn't bury it down there no more because of so many bodies that he buried down there. He realized that he needed to get rid of it. So he talked to one of his workers that was a young boy back then, and had them drive off. So because the police was already watching him, so have him drive off so the police could get distracted, and follow the guy so he could get rid of the body. So he got rid of the body and throw it down the lake, because like I said, he already knew that there was no way that he could have buried down there, because he got so many bodies down there. Like I said, he had so many bodies down there that he couldn't even bury one more body in there. So he just grabbed it and throw it down the lake, you know, just throw it down the lake. And he was drunk and he confessed everything. And he got arrested because the police investigated and saw, you know, that they smelled the thing, and he was trying to convince them, you know, he was Mr. Nice Guy, you know, Mr. Nice Guy, you know, sure, use the bathroom, because one police officer asked him, you know, can I use your bathroom? I gotta go to the bathroom. He's like, you go use the bathroom, you know, right, left, or whatever. He went there, and he saw the smell. The smell coming out of it, it's like, ew. You definitely check out down there. Got a warrant. He got a warrant first so they can tear down there in the basement because it was a bad smell. Like I said, it smelled like death. Smelled like shit and death. But I wasn't born back then. I wasn't there. But the people that were there, the documentaries that I saw, and the movie and stuff that I saw, because there's actually movies about it, the smell was so horrible that they describe it as the smell of shit and death. They literally said on the movies and documentaries and interviews, it smelled like death and shit. And they went there, got a warrant, got back on the house, and Mr. Gacy, we got a warrant. John Wayne Gacy was like, sure. Once they got there, and they shook out all the basement, and they shoveled and shoveled. They found all those bodies. All those bodies that he buried down there. Decomposed. No skin. No skin. Decomposed. They were already in bones. In bones, man. In bones. John Wayne Gacy was caught. The police took him, arrested him, put him in cuffs, put it on a car, driving off, got charges for murder, and got executed. His last words before his execution was, "Kiss my ass." A psychopath serial killer that behaved good in the community, but the reality of it was that he was dark motherfucker. Now the thing is, his past has something to do with it. If you take a look at it, asking on why he did what he did, or the reason of why he was a serial killer or whatever. He had an abusive father. He was molested. He was bullied. And I'm not saying that's an excuse to justify his actions or for what he did. This is just no way, there's a lot of people with worse situations than him, and they are doing better. You know what I mean? They're doing better than
Well, I need help.
Do I have the perfect match for you?
they are doing better than ever. Because it's like I said, it's your choice if you want to do it or not. Um,
And you can join today at netflix.com.
it is wow. The question is, his past has to do something with it. For every serial killer question, it's always a question about does his past has something to do with it? We don't know. All we know is that he did it, he got executed, and he got what he deserved for doing what he did. 'Cause it was wrong. But that's the question: why he did it? If this is my question every time I watch something of John Wayne Gacy, or and if I see something about it, like here's my question: his serial killing to the boys was something relatable for him to try to bury his past, um, from what his father did to him. So like he was trying to get rid of it. Like for dad, that was a way for him to get rid of it. That's the question. That was a way for him to get rid of something? that his father did for him to like, I want to get rid of these bad memories, so I'm doing this. Just try to get rid of it. We don't know. It depends on the kind of trauma, because a lot of people get traumatized and do what they do. Next, serial killer. Of course, you all know the Night Stalker. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. A serial killer that killed hundreds of people during the night. He got in people's houses, and over the night, he hurt them, killed them. He didn't brush his teeth. His teeth were all destroyed. He looking like a monster. The question is, why he did it? Like every serial killer question, why he did it. Again, we're looking at a guy who has a traumatized past. We're looking at a guy that came from a family from a father that was abusive. In other words, from a dysfunctional family of a father that was abusive as hell of him and his mother. But that's not the worst part of it. The worst part of it is that they teach him how to do this kind of stuff. How to kill and how to... if you look at the story of it, documentaries and movies and whatever, you can see literally how this guy was thought to kill these people. How they thought him to kill these people and to do this kind of stuff. Step by step. And he paid attention to it. And he learned every step of it. The question is, why? Well, for me, that's an easy answer. I mean, this is my opinion. He got thought to do so. So, do you think he learned it from that? Yeah. I mean, if they taught him to doing so, then of course, yeah, of course, then he did it. Every serial killer killed for their pleasure, not for money, not for economic purposes like in cartels or something. They do it for their pleasure, or because they're trying to bury some kind of a past. And Richard Ramirez was one of them. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, was one of them that did it for his pleasure. He got on people's houses, he cut them, he stabbed them, but the thing is that he was like, it was so scary. He cut people's body into a pentagon, into a satanic pentagon, and say hail to Satan. You know what I mean. You know that devil shit. Because he got into Satanism. He got into Satanism, and then he did this stuff. Disgusting. He cut them into, he actually with a knife, like the movies, like this horror movies, he cut them and did a whole pentagon, a whole satanic pentagon, because he got into Satanism, and he was a really big fan of it. He worshipped the devil every step. And the people that had encounters with it, that were rescued or saved themselves, so were not killed, because a lot of the times he didn't even kill people. He just, their encounters with it, that they can say that he was so scary. He was really tall. He has no feet. He was looking so scary with the Satanists and stuff. And he walked in over the night to someone's house. And sometimes, if he steal their stuff, kidnap them for a while, play with them, with some horrible stuff, and then tell everybody that the Night Stalker was here, but in a way of like, tell everybody that the Night Stalker was here, like in that kind of way, and it was like, whoa, what the fuck? And they were saying that his breath was so bad they couldn't take 1 minute of it because they just want to throw up. It's like the Night Stalker was this kind of guy that didn't brush his teeth, didn't like a homeless guy just in drugs. And it was so scary. And that his breath was so bad, his hair was so messy, because again he had no teeth. Later on his trial, he put on teeth. It was a televised trial, so he put on teeth. And
yes, really. If you tap now to watch a short video,
you'll
receive 30 minutes of ad-free music.
They were saying it was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was like really bad. Sure. And to everything. Later on he got on trial. He died because he got cuckoo. He got crazy. And I don't remember what he died for. When did he die? But I'm sure he died. And it was, whoa, nasty. And psychopath. And the fact that they taught them how to do this. Like they taught them like how to do this. And they just learned it. I don't know who the hell's in mind to, or who the hell was to thought this young Richard Ramirez this kind of stuff, but they taught him this kind of stuff. It was, well, he got a trial and he got a life sentence, which he died, and yeah, last story. I don't know the real name of this guy. I don't really remember. But they call him Dr. Death. And he died in 2005 from prison by a suicide hanging. Because he couldn't take no more of a lot of pressure. This guy was the mama's boy. He was with his mama this whole time. He couldn't take it no more. Like, he was all the time with his mama. And, it was, his mom died after she got sick, and they put her to sleep, like we say, like they put the morphine thing on them, the morphine injection that they put just to calm their pain and to just put her to sleep, which is what they did. The doctor did, just to calm her pain, and she died. Was devastated to Dr. Death. Dr. Death couldn't take it. Dr. Death, and I keep calling him Dr. Death because I don't really remember his name, like I said. But you guys can search it over. He got into medicine, he went to the medical field, he studied, he was a really calm guy, everybody loved him, everybody thought that he was a pretty nice guy, because he was really calm, he was really peaceful. But little did they know, is that one day he was gonna destroy and kill hundreds and hundreds of people in his mother's memory. Like in his mother's memory. And when I say in his mother's memory, is like it's like he did it in a way of tribute his mom, which is in that type of sense, you know what I mean? He did it just to tribute his mom, and he enjoyed it. So back then he graduated and got a job on a nursing place. Excuse me, I just he got a job at a nursing place where he worked with old people, and he killed over 600 people with the doses of morphine. And he did it in a so deadly way because it was, you know, like I said, it was honor. It was like a way to honor his mother or some shit. But it was freaking crazy because who does that shit? I mean, that's the psychopath stuff. And he put morphines. He put into a chair and killed them and put them into morphines and stuff. And he took the certifications. He made fake certifications and take it to the doctors. So because when someone died in a hospital, they gotta take the death certification. So he created them, so he wouldn't get caught. Later on, he got caught and did what he did. I mean, later on he got caught after a while, and he got in trial, and he got exposed and got a life sentence. But again, this guy ties them into a chair. Into a chair, people. Put them the anesthetic. Put them to sleep. He got a life sentence and he suicide. Because he couldn't take it no more. His wife, every member of his family was impressed because he didn't look like that kind of person. And he was... This is a problem with serial killers. They think they're innocent. They do what they do and they think they're innocent. Some of them do accept what they do, but a lot of them, they just think they're innocent, man. That's the psychopath reaction. And I am not a psychologist, but you can really tell when this is a psychopath. You know, they don't feel anything, they don't care about anything, they're just total psychopath. But yeah, that was it for Monster Facts. Yeah, pretty much done. Ladies and gentlemen, the Brosketeers podcast produced by Ricardo Luna and Christopher Diaz, written by me, your host, written by me, Isaac Cruz, and hosted by me, your host, Isaac Cruz. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get my first tattoo. So yeah. It's gonna be my vlogging channel, Isaac Vlogs. So you're gonna go there again, Isaac Vlogs, all capitalized, Isaac Vlogs on YouTube. And you can see it there. My first tattoo. Ladies and gentlemen, that was it for Monster Facts. Where we talk about the year 0, the serial killer, Joe Wayne Gacy, serial killer, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, and serial killer, I don't remember his name, but Dr. Death, whose suicide in 2005 by a hanging. Ladies and gentlemen, this ends right now.